Welcome back to Theology on the Avenue for Easter weekend 2022. Last week I left you with the image of Holy Saturday, where we contemplate the world and history without the Lord, His absence. And on Holy Saturday evening, on the Easter Vigil, a little candle in the wind is lit to remind us in the darkness of the pilot light that never goes out. And then that next morning, with Easter dawn, the resurrection of the Lord. As St. Paul says, if that's not true, all of our faith is in vain. And why we believe it to be true will be the readings that we hear this Easter weekend and the readings that we will hear the following Sundays of Easter, 7 Sundays of Easter, a fullness of creation. And it's because of the eyewitness accounts. There are so many Easter appearances that are delineated in the New Testament. From the women who are there at the tomb, Mary Magdalene, from the Apostle John and Peter, from the apostles in the upper room that first night of the week, the next week with Thomas present, who touches the wounds and says those wonderful words, "My Lord and my God." The story in Luke of the 2 disciples on the road to Emmaus who recognize him in the breaking of the bread. And perhaps my favorite, and it may be the earliest account because of Paul writing contemporaneously to the Corinthians, where he says that the Lord appeared to Cephas, and then to the 12, and then to more than 500 of the brethren, and then to his brother James, and lastly to Paul, born outside of time, who saw on the road to Damascus the risen Lord. That account of Paul, the more than 500, is to remind us that these words, testimony and eyewitness, are juridical for a reason back there in the first century, because they gave witness to what they had seen. They swore to it as in a courtroom, because there wasn't the internet or television or radio. It's their account. And many of them went to their deaths, martyrs' deaths, because of what they saw. Now, of all the accounts, that first one to the women, in seeing Mary Magdalene, there's a line that I've always loved, that she mistook him for the gardener. Think about that. She mistook him for the gardener, the risen Lord. I don't think she made any mistake, for indeed it was the gardener, for it was the new Eden, and he was the new Adam. And when he said her name, she recognized him. There's always a mystery in these Easter appearances about, like the road to Emmaus. They don't recognize him until a certain moment. But of all the Easter appearances, there seems to be one that's missing. It's one that you'd think would be obvious, but it's not there. It's the appearance to Our Lady. Our Lady Mary, our patron here at St. Mary's Parish. She was there, of course, at the beginning in Bethlehem as she held him, the little babe, in her arms. And she was there at the foot of the cross in her Pietà as she held him as well in her arms. It makes complete theological sense, and that's what's good about Theology on the Avenue and speculation. And Pope John Paul II, St. John Paul II, devoted some of his wonderful mind to this subject. He felt that it made sense that perhaps the Lord had seen her first, because she had been with him first from the beginning, the first disciple, "Be it done unto me according to thy will." It's not in the scriptures, but it's also to remind us that those Easter appearances over the 40 days are not exhaustive. The ones that we have, famous as they are not the complete story. And it's a reminder to us always that the scriptures are never the complete story, especially for us Catholics, where the tradition of the lived faith day by day, year by year, especially in that first century, as the apostles went forth out to all the known world. There's a line in one of the appearances when the angels say to the women at the tomb, He's not here. Go and tell the apostles and meet him in Galilee. Why Galilee? Galilee by the lake is the place where it all began in his ministry, at a wedding in Cana in Galilee, where he worked his two central actions of his life, to feed the loaves and the fishes there on the hills of Galilee, and to heal. And those two central actions of his life are the life of his church in time and space, to heal and to feed. And so this Easter weekend, we can only think that mother and son are together again in Cana in Galilee, at the wedding feast, at which a place setting is there for each of us who bear their family name, Christian. That's it for this week, and I'll be back again, I hope, next week for more on the Easter appearances. Have a blessed and happy Easter.